Hello everyone, what is up? It is me, Ewan from What Culture today, joined by Josh Brown.
Hello.
Because we've got lots of movie news, and I say a lot, we have about 4 stories.
Very big stories, in my opinion.
Varying interest. So I thought we'd open it up today with Tenet, because that is the next big Christopher Nolan movie. We're all very excited about it over here at What Culture, and I imagine the internet is as well. So we thought I'd talk about it because, well, they've done today, Josh. They've actually done something really interesting.
Well, as you all probably know, the next installment in the Fast and Furious universe has just released Hobbs and Shaw, and with it, perhaps overshadowing the entire release, is that a teaser trailer for Tenet has actually released before it. It hasn't come out on the internet, it hasn't been released on YouTube, it's literally just before the film shows, and that is so exciting and such a cool way to do it. I think, film trailers are a kind of a dying art. A lot of them are very similar. A lot of them just kind of get dropped. We have teasers for another teaser that's coming in years down the line for a big full trailer. And the fact that there is so much mystique around Chris Nolan's next movie, it feeds into this perfectly. This is going to get me to go out even sooner to go see Hobbs and Shaw. I know all the guys in the office love it. You can check out the review over on What Culture YouTube channel. But yeah, this is so exciting, and I like it even more that I have no idea what it is, but I hope you're going to spoil this for me
Yes, we'll prefix this with a little bit of a spoiler warning, because obviously these trailers were showing ahead of Hobbs and Shaw. I think they've been doing it in the States maybe first.
Yes.
Thursday evening, and basically some people have done the Hollywood Reporter in particular done a handy little trailer description for us, which is very kind. But yeah, we kind of know barely anything about the next film. We know some of the cast. We know obviously no one's doing it. We have John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and Elizabeth Debicki in the main roles.
That's such a good cast.
Really, really great cast. And we kind of seen it build as an action film with espionage elements, which again is really exciting. We heard that it was taking inspiration from the James Bond films, which is really cool considering loads of people want to see Nolan do Bond. But the most interesting thing that we've learned from this trailer is that there are some time travel elements involved. There's something to do with the time continuum, but I'm just going to read the Hollywood Reporter's description verbatim. So if you're going to go see Hobbs and Shaw this weekend and you think you're going to see the trailer, probably avoid now. But here we go anyway. The roughly minute-long first look at Tenet opens on a bullet hole that's punched through some glass. Behind the glass stands John David Washington's character. The teaser slam cuts to the words, "Time has come for a new protagonist," which sounds like the most 80s action movie. You can imagine that with the old trailer movie voice go like, "Time has come for a new protagonist.
John David Washington."
Washington's character walks up to examine the glass. The camera tracks him as he moves to the side, revealing more cracks in the glass. The visual echoes Bruce Wayne's surveying bullets ballistics in Nolan's 2008 film The Dark Knight. I appreciate the comparison. Nice little frame of reference I can get in my mind's eye right now. The teaser then slam cuts to the words, "Time has come for a new kind of mission." The emphasis on time I'm seeing right now. Then it re-enters on people dressed as SWAT team members, or perhaps members of a special ops unit. Quick cuts of Washington in action flash before the teaser holds on a shot of Washington with an oxygen mask over his mouth as he slowly breathes. Beneath the trailer is a pulsing, almost wobbling score, with the bass particularly powerful. Tenet composer Ludwig Göransson is notable for bass in his Creed and Black Panther scores. Fun fact about him, he also did the score for Community.
Really?
Yeah.
The Community, right, complete tangent here, but everyone who worked on Community is just the most talented people ever gone on to incredible careers. That sounds awesome, because I don't know any more about the movie having you just talked about the trailer to me. I don't even know what it's about. I guess it's going to be a time travel related thing. Like you said before we started filming, a time heist maybe.
I don't think any blockbuster film has done that ever before.
No, definitely not in the past year, and definitely probably not a successful movie either. This sounds really cool. I'm really excited for the next Chris Nolan movie. I like his preoccupation with time is obviously present throughout his entire oeuvre, back from Memento, even in Dunkirk, which is a more straightforward Chris Nolan film, he still plays around with linearity. I like that he's finally just kind of dropping the structural pretense, and just being like, well, we're just actively going to mess around with time and space and everything like that in this film. And honestly, John David Washington can be in anything after I've seen him in Black.
I love sci-fi espionage. I loved it in Looper. I loved it in Inception. I love it whenever it kind of appears. And yeah, if this is kind of like an Inception-esque project, I'm going to be very, very excited. Because like I said, Dunkirk I thought the way Nolan builds tension in his films, I think, people tend to have a tendency to overhype him occasionally, but I think he is kind of Hitchcockian in the sense that he knows how to get suspense and how to build suspense, and coming back to time is a great way of doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the idea. it sounds really, like that he's going to take it just straight on. He's not going to kind of mess about with the structural thing and just give you a really cerebral movie, which I think everyone has kind of been begging for since Inception, because although I've liked everything he's done since then, even Interstellar, I think Inception is still kind of held up as the benchmark, perhaps the best piece of work he's ever put out. And it seems like a really interesting original stories, because we don't get many original stories these days. We have a lot of franchises, which we all love, but the fact that Chris Nolan is one of the few directors who gets to go out and make these really unique, really original IPs and stories is just really good to know the director.
The greatest ever deal that he had with Warner Brothers was doing those 3 Batman movies, making them a squadrillion billion dollars, and then saying, hey, you know those Batman movies? I don't think you owe me a few favors, Mr. Warner's Brothers. If you want to hook me up with my own little cool, unique IPs, that'd be really handy.
How about this movie that's all in someone's mind? How about that? It goes 4 layers deep and it's 2.5 hours. He's $150 million, Chris Nolan.
I'm excited for that. No release date yet, I don't think, but, you know,
Next year. I have some news following on.
Are you drifting?
I'm drifting.
This?
I'm Tokyo drifting into our next news section, which is about Fast and Furious, because it came out last night in the Wall Street Journal that the stars of the Fast and Furious franchise have deals in their contracts to essentially say they can't be beaten in fights. They all have their unique individual kind of like takes on this. Jason Statham, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and of course Vin Diesel each have different approaches to how the fight scenes are handled that basically say, look, I'm not going to be seen getting beaten up, and I'm certainly not going to be seen losing a fight to any one of you, which does make a lot of sense if you go back through those movies and realize, oh yeah, like, even if these guys take a few punches, they never lose. Even if they're fighting each other, it's often just kind of broken up or they're separated and no one actually takes an L. And that's because they're all really, really concerned about how they look, which I respect. If I was an action star, which I am, I would absolutely probably do this, because you want to look good, you want to look like a hero, you want to look unstoppable. And I mean, if you do the workout that Dwayne Johnson does, you don't want all that to be for nothing.
No, I don't know whether this makes the film worse or better in my eyes. I think it might actually make it even better because it's even more corny. I love seeing action heroes get the crap beaten out of them because they make them more relatable. But also, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the closest thing we have to a Herculean demigod.
Exactly.
So it makes maybe less sense for Jason Statham. I know he was an Olympic diver and he had the transporter, and he is literally his characters from the films. I can't separate fact from fiction. So he's literally those characters. But yeah, it does put those older Fast and Furious films into context. That scene where The Rock and Vin Diesel obviously come to blows. I just remember that no one really wins or loses.
Yeah.
In that one. So,
Vin Diesel apparently took this more seriously than the rest.
Oh, really?
He even came up with a numerical system where different hits would score higher on a scale, and essentially a fight couldn't go past the number system that he created. So headbutts, were valued as higher than a regular punch. Roundhouse kicks had a lot of numerical value attached to them. The producers eventually just kind of said, no, that's way too much work. We'll figure out a way to make you look cool without having this absolutely crazy complex system in place.
You go back to like the 80s and 90s, you got John McClane and Riggs and Murtaugh getting the crap beaten out of them at every opportunity, just bleeding out one mouth, walking along, just hobbling around, killing people, whereas these guys are like, not a scratch.
Exactly.
Not one scratch.
You know what? I was kind of, laughing at this before I came in and talked about it, but you've made a very salient point there, and it's something that Universal backed up, which I'll get to in a second, is that these guys are not supposed to be really relatable heroes. They are, by now, essentially just superheroes. So the fact that they don't have that John McClane vulnerability or humanity to them makes total sense.
We've seen Captain America get beaten up more times than we've seen The Rock get beaten up in the Fast and Furious.
Captain America always has a bloody face. But yes, a Universal spokesperson said to the Wall Street Journal that, quote, every character has their moment, and that all are seen as formidable opponents. Each Fast character is a hero to someone watching, and we never forget that. Essentially, they're all idols, they're all role models, or at least that's how they're pitched. You know what? And that's fine. Jason Statham is my role model. I wish my role models told me that you can never, ever take an L. Ever. It makes you a better person if you avoid the L completely. But moving from L's to different kind of L's, I think, we're moving on to this new project called Newsflash, and probably the most insane casting I've ever seen for someone who was a student of history. I think this is very weird. But we've got this Newsflash film coming out in the next few years. It's set around the events in Dallas, November 22nd, 1963,
which to you history boffins out there will of course be the day that JFK was assassinated. And it's set around the unfolding news coverage that came out after the day, and in particular on Walter Cronkite, who at this point in time was a man in his late 40s, early 50s. You'll probably recognize was the man who helped sway public opinion back during this in the days of Vietnam with his his trailblazing live broadcasts. He really transformed the way we consume news, and the death of the president was basically a very pivotal moment in that. Who have they got to play this old, esteemed, venerable icon of American news media? Chris Pine. So now we've gone from old esteemed Walter Cronkite to stupid sexy Walter Cronkite, and I don't know how to feel about it because they also were previously eyeing Seth Rogen for the part in this 100% serious historical biographical film.
Interesting.
And David Gordon Green was originally meant to direct until he went on to do the Halloween movies. I have no idea what is going on here.
Slow down.
Yes.
Everything you just said doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
The two people in the running for this role, I love them both, was Seth Rogen and Chris Pine for a role neither of them would really fit. And
Chris Pine is 10 years younger than Walter Cronkite was in the events of 1963.
And now, so what you tell me is that they've sexed him up, essentially.
They've sexed up Walter Cronkite. They've sexed him up, damn it!
As a scholar and a lovely man, and a man who knows a lot about history, how does this make you feel?
It has a lot of confusing emotions. I look at Walter Cronkite as a venerable old icon of American news media. You just see him kind of with his little mustache there telling me, I feel reassured when you say it, kind of like FDR, this fireside chats. I don't want to have strange pent-up emotions about Chris Pine, Walter Cronkite. I just don't. Even though I love Chris Pine, I love Walter Cronkite in a completely different way.
You know what?
So,
Chris Pine can play anyone. After I watched him in To Hell or High Water, you know what? He can be anyone and do anything, and I'll follow him into the dark. Into the darkness. Star Trek. Into darkness.
Wow.
See that segue?
Wow.
This is why I'm a professional.
That was amazing. But yeah, the biggest story of today is obviously Chris Pine playing Walter Cronkite in Newsflash. But yeah, I want to know what you all think of Tenet. Are you really excited? Does that trailer description get you even more excited? Are you going to see Hobbs and Shaw just in the chance to see in the trailer? Please let us know in the comments below. And also how you feel about The Rock and Jason Statham refusing to take an L either apart.
So you're going to have to go back and watch all of those movies again and just pinpoint the moments where they must have gone, we've got to cut this. I've taken too much damage. That punch was one too far. I'm stopping this now.
But yeah, please do that. And then like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And head back on over to whatculture.com/film. Yeah, we're film right now. And you can find more of this stuff every day. As always, I've been Ewan, joined by Josh Brown.
Goodbye.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.